But first, our brave Pulse reporter Jane creeps us out with a visit to Victoria's oldest, still intact prison, Geelong Gaol.
It's a cold, windy night here in Geelong, making it a perfect night for a ghost tour at the Old Geelong Gaol. So let's go find ourselves a tour guide.
Follow me.
Thanks so much for joining us on Pulse Television, Deb. Now tell us, why is the Old Geelong Gaol so perfect for your ghost tour?
Well, it's a really old building. It's one of the oldest 19th century prisons that are left intact. It's the only intact prison left in Victoria. All the other ones have been torn down or modified in some degree. So it was started being built in 1849 and didn't close until 1991. So there is a heap of history to be found in here.
And at its height, what number of prisoners would have been here?
We're not sure on exact numbers. We're still trying to find a lot of the prisoner list, but we believe there would have been well over 200.
And there's some pretty interesting stories, aren't there? Obviously there's a lot of ghost stories, but a lot of really fascinating people who have been in the prison. What are some of your favourites?
Some of my favourites, I love Thomas Menard. So he was the last man that was executed here in 1865. We had 4 prisoners that were executed within the walls of the jail. We have Percy Ramage is a fantastic story. He was here in the early 1900s. A bit of a wild one. That one. He spent a lot of time in the LOP cells, and we've got lots of cases of him attempting suicide and attempting to throw waters off from the top tier, and a lot of things like that. So so they're probably a couple of the main ones. We also had Chopper Reid here in the 1970s. He was here for a little while, and then again in 1980s.
And I read that he said he would never want to come back to this prison. So why was this prison just such an awful place to be?
Well, it was a very primitive prison, so there's no heating or cooling in any of the cells. They survived with 2 buckets, so we had a bucket full for cold water for drinking, and then we had another bucket which was used as their toilet bucket. And being locked in their cells for so many hours a day, if you had to use your toilet early in the day, then you were stuck in there. And you've got over 100 cells, middle of summer. We have things like dysentery and that sort of stuff happening in the early days. Of course, the smell would have been horrendous in here.
Now, with so many people here for such a long period of time and such an interesting history as well, because it wasn't always just a prison, was it?
No, in the 1860s it was used as an industrial school for girls, so it was the Myers Street Industrial School for Girls. Between about 1868 and 1870s, we had about 183 girls that were aged between 3 and 16 that were incarcerated here, still while we had prisoners on this side of the jail, so we had all the kids over the other side, and unfortunately accidents happen.
We do have to talk about the ghost stories. There are a lot, and in fact there is a ghost, we believe, here who was one of the young girls.
Yes, we believe so. So on the East Wing stairs, we have a number of reports from visitors of seeing a little girl crying on the stairs. And when they go to comfort her, of course, she's no longer there. I myself have actually heard her crying in the jail. We have lots of reports of that sort of stuff. We have reports of the smell of lavender. We'll follow some of the people around as they're walking around.
And what are some of the other famous ghost stories you've got here as well?
Oh, we have a few. So we have, we believe James Murphy is one of our ghosts here. So he was the 3rd man that was executed here in Geelong. We have a young man by the name of Johnny, who we believe is in the kitchen. We have another one in there that we believe we call him Mr. Nasty. We have a warden who we believe patrols the top tier of the jail in complete uniform, and he's been captured a number of times. Of course, there's a number of prisoners, and they're just the ones that we can identify. Of course, there's more than enough others, and on our paranormal investigation tours, of course, they pick up lots of different things.
So if people are coming here for a tour, what can they expect? What's going to happen? I see that you're dressed up. I presume that's not what you wear during the day?
No, not exactly. So our ghost tours are taken by one of our theatrical historians, so we'll be in costume. And what they'll do is they lead you around to various parts in prison, and we'll go through all the history of the prison, so everything that's happened here. So you'll see just about the entire jail and hear about all the different stories. So you'll hear about some of the escapes, you hear about floggings, you'll hear about one of our executed prisoners who's buried out in the jail, the industrial school that I just told you about, the kitchen, some of our LOP cells. There's many, many stories that can be heard around here, so it's just got a fascinating history.
And is it a tour that's suitable for everyone? Because it's a huge building, there's a lot of stairs, and some of the subject matter might be a bit scary as well.
Yes, so we suggest that perhaps children under 8 it's not appropriate for. And of course it's up to the parents, they know what children their children are capable. We've had adults that we've had to escort out. We've had adults that have fainted that we've had to help outside for a little while to recover. So it just kind of depends on and of course it depends on the night too. If the spirits want to come and play, they will. If they don't want to, they won't.
And you've been pretty popular lately. All your tours have been booked out.
Yeah, especially on the weekends. We're finding that people are having to book a couple of weekends in advance, especially if they want Friday or Saturday nights, with our ghost tour and our paranormal tours. So whether that's the increased publicity over the proposed expression of interest for sale at the moment from the council, we don't know, but we're loving it.
And we love it on tonight with the wind. It makes it very eerie.
Yes, and that it just adds to the atmosphere when it's blowing a gale and it's cold and miserable outside. So yeah, no, it's very cool.
You've had a bit of a ghost experience, we think. Can you just explain what happened?
Yeah, we were standing up near the gallows up there. I looked back into the cell because I felt something press up against my legs, and I looked at Whitney and she'd felt the same thing.
Yeah, just on the back of our cars.
What was the feeling?
It was just someone pushing our legs forward. Yeah.
Pressure on your calves. That was it.
It's kind of like your knees just buckling, and yeah, it was a bit weird.
So was it scary initially, or you were just more surprised?
Scary.
Yeah.
Geelong Gaol Ghost Tours operate 7 days a week, and you can find out more information on their Facebook page. I'm Jane, reporting for Pulse Geelong.